Well, good morning, YouTube. It's morning here, sunny Florida. And today we're working on a '07 Nissan Frontier V6. And I'm going to turn the camera around, kind of show you the car, and then we'll talk about why I'm doing this video. So this is the car here. And I bought this car from mine, and he basically ran the car into the ground. And he's a nice guy, but just doesn't take care of his cars very well. He's a car dealer, so he buys and sells cars. He's retired, but he buys and sells cars at random. So he offered me a deal 3 or 4 months ago on this truck, and it was in bad shape. And one of the things I had to do was basically get it running. It ran, but it did not drive. In other words, it didn't go down the road. So the reason why I'm making this video is because if somebody has this problem on any vehicle, this may help them. So if your car won't go down the road and you find out you've changed everything on the car and there's no signs from the motor running bad or anything like that, this could be your problem. So the car had a couple of codes, and one of the codes was a camshaft position sensor. And I think one other one. And so I went to town on the car, and I was going to do this anyway because I'm flipping this car. I'm going to sell it. So I changed everything, spark plugs, coil packs, and everything, including the cam sensors and the crank sensor, the PCV valve, and I did all that stuff. Well, the car wouldn't run good still. And I've never really had this happen to any vehicle of mine, but I ran to a Nissan mechanic on my job, and I asked him, I said, hey man, what's going on with this car? And I told him the symptoms. I said, it had a code, but it just wouldn't go down the road. And he says, listen, check the catalytic converters, take the oxygen sensors out, and see if the car will run with no oxygen sensors. And incidentally, the exhaust was rattling. I guess one of the signs, after Googling that up, is that one of the signs of a bad cat is rattling from the exhaust. And so first thing I did is I pulled the oxygen sensors out. And sure enough, after all that work I did to the motor, which was not wasted, because I was going to do that anyway, because I went right through the car to change everything, like selling a flipped home. You basically go through everything, make it look nice, and you sell it. So this was part of the gig anyway. So I did that, and the car went down the road beautifully. And then, so what I did a little more extreme. One side, I left the oxygen sensor on. What I did is I put that other sensor on the driver's side back in where the rattling was. And I took the grinder and I cut a hole in the exhaust about maybe 2 or 3 inches long. And I was able to get the car where I needed to go. And then later on down the line, which recently, last week or two, I put brand new exhaust from the exhaust manifolds, new catalytic converters, new muffler, and I put everything. So if you've got a car that you've done everything to and it has some codes, and yet the car won't go more than 20 miles an hour. Because I'm going to tell you, when this car was choking and gagging and sputtering, and it wasn't going more than like 20, man. I barely limped it home from his house, and then I did all that work to it, and it still didn't do anything. And if you got, especially if you got a rattle coming from the exhaust, 90% of the time it's probably your cats. And so take the oxygen sensors out and see if that'll unclog it, and we'll run through the oxygen sensor, and the engine will breathe and move down the road. So hope that helps somebody. So if you've got a car that's doing that, try that out. I appreciate you guys. Take care. Bye-bye.